focus on just being here now. This is something that I have thought about a lot recently. I feel like that in my life, there's a lot of times where I'm everywhere but now. I'm in my head about past stuff. I'm thinking about future stuff. Sometimes that's even on stage. Sometimes while I'm on camera, where I'm showing up for today's show, but I'm already thinking about the next show, or I'm shooting something on set and I'm already thinking about how this is going to look in my demo reel and the next stepping stone. Like, what is this? Once this comes out, what's going to happen from this?
Welcome to Inside the Audition, the podcast where we go behind the scenes for a deep dive look into the world of auditions. I'm Joe Larsen, creator of Actors Audition Club, an international community helping actors book your dream roles in TV, film, and theater.
And I'm Brandon Knox, actor, producer, and co-host. Each episode, we chat with actors and industry professionals to share their audition experiences, insights, and advice.
We provide actors with actionable tips, strategies, and resources to help you elevate your auditions.
We demystify the often intimidating and misunderstood world of auditions to help you succeed.
So whether you're just starting out on your acting journey or you're a seasoned pro, join our Actors Audition Club members as we go
Inside the Audition.
Welcome. This is episode 162, our final episode of the year. I'm Joey Freddy, joined by Brandon J. Knox. Hello, Brandon.
Hello.
And we've got Erin Elizabeth Reed joining us as a special guest from New York City.
Hi, everybody.
How's everybody doing?
Good.
Good.
Recovered from the holidays?
Slowly but surely.
Think of it. Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Well, we've got a great episode. This is a little bit of a continuation from episode 161. If you haven't listened to 161, I would suggest go back and listen on any podcast platform, or you can watch it on Facebook or on YouTube. We talked last week about the top 10 characteristics for success for any humans, but we specifically tailored it to actors last week. And today we're going to do a little year-end review, obviously being the end of 2023 and a new year coming up. It's a great time to reflect on what we accomplished this year and also look forward to 2024. So this episode is going to be a little bit different. It's going to be a little workshop-y. So I would say everyone who's listening, or if you're watching live, grab a pen, grab a notepad, and we're going to walk through a little bit of a workshop, some questions here. And we're going to do a little round table. We're going to share some of our answers. So you guys ready to jump into it?
Yes, let's do it. I'm ready.
You got a pen or a pad, or you've already made some notes? There you go.
I have made some notes, yeah.
Erin's got hers ready. Thank you, everyone, first of all, for watching live on Facebook or YouTube. Make sure to let us know in the comments what city you're watching from. Let us know your name so we can say hello and you can be a part of the show. And throughout this, feel free to share your answers to these questions. Again, it's going to be like a workshop. We're going to go through some exercises that'll help you take stock of how you did in 2023. And also at the end, make sure to stick around for the end, because we're going to go through a real fun exercise, something that's really powerful, where you can actually really live into the end of your 2024. So we're actually going to do some time travel. We're going to jump forward in time one full year, and we're going to have a little look at the end of 2024 you, and we're going to get a little preview on how your life will go in this coming year. So join us for that ride. And again, comment, feel free, if you're listening and watching at home, you can post your answers in the comment sections and we'll share those. So the first thing that I want to talk about, we're going to run through just an end of the year review. And this is great to do every single year. You can share this with your family and friends. You can share this with your actor friends. And it's a great exercise. This is a great time to take a little time to reflect and take stock of your life and what went well, what maybe you can improve upon. And then, like I said, at the end, we're going to do an exercise where we do some time traveling into the future. All right. So first questions, grab that notepad and pen. Again, if you're listening, share your answers in the comments. I'm going to go through the questions. I'm going to go through all of them, and then we'll circle back and do some sharing. The first question is, what were my biggest wins this year? Now, this is inside the audition. We're talking to actors, but this doesn't necessarily have to just be acting relating things. This could be acting and career related. This could be fitness related. It could be finance related. It could be relationship related. We learned from Tom Todoroff that to be an actor is to be a professional human being. So everything you've accomplished this year as a human does inform your life as an actor. But that being said, also, we're going to hyper-focus a little bit on the acting world. So what were your biggest wins this year? Actually, rather than go through all the questions and then circle back, let's go one at a time and just share some of these, share what's coming up for you. Fun fact, I previewed this list to Brandon and Erin a little earlier so that they could start reflecting in advance of the episode. So who wants to start first? Biggest wins this year in 2023? Brandon, you're up.
All right. So my first one is going to New York, seeing my first Broadway show, training with the Tom Todoroff Company, and most importantly, planning the trip for myself. That was a big win for me, and making sure that I was financially stable over there, making sure that I had money, making sure that I had the Wi-Fi or internet that I needed so that I could do certain things, even though I did get lost in trying to find Central Park, it was still a big win for me. And my second one was taking on new roles behind the stage and camera. I worked as a PA and camera assistant for Razzmatazz film company for one of their short films, and I also was ADing, so assistant directing for a production of Rapunzel, which was a pantomime at a theater company which I've worked for and acted for before, but they asked me to come back as assistant director, and then in doing that they offered me a position to direct one of their upcoming shows for next year. So in 2024, I'm going to be directing a production of The Three Little Pigs, opening February 10th. So very excited about that. So those were big wins for me.
Yes, those are huge wins. Congrats on New York. I remember when you were prepping for that, you were setting aside your money and getting your paperwork and booking your Airbnb and booking your travel and all that kind of stuff. A few things that you didn't mention as well, because you're very modest and humble, is you booked several TV roles this year. You were on some big productions. So as an actor, you had a ton of wins there as well. So congrats. This is a huge year for you. So it's been great to see you grow and flourish and have so many of those firsts this year. So congrats.
Yeah.
It was the year of Brandon.
The year of all of us. Yeah.
And Erin.
Congrats, Brandon. Yeah, I
Thank
love revisiting everybody's big wins. That's fantastic. What did I jot down? Because man, this year's so much gets packed into a year. I really had to think and go all the way back. I was like, wait a minute, what happened in January?
Right. Which is why it helps to have a good calendar system and or some kind of journal system so that you can take stock of your life. Otherwise it all passes and you're like, what did even happen this year?
Right. And then you forget to re-celebrate
right.
Milestones and even follow up on them. Okay, I did that. Where else can it lead? Maybe.
Right.
Okay, some of the biggest things. I started off the year, my first big challenge / win. I recorded my first professional commercial voiceover demo and built a sound booth and signed up with an audiobook production house. So that was really exciting.
Congrats. Yay.
Thank you. Let's see. I starred in a production of The Seagull over the summer with a role that had been on my dream list for a long time, Arkadna. I started my own podcast with my friend Tessie. Shout out to Tessie Arasti. And what else? This is very recent. It's like sliding in under the 2023
That's
deadline.
good. There's still time too. It's only
There's
the
still
27th.
time.
You still have 4 days to
Still a
accomplish
few
things.
days. Yes. I woke up to an out of the blue email earlier this month from a play festival in Sydney, Australia, and they've invited me to come direct a play that I wrote out there in the spring.
Fuck
So
yeah! Woo!
I'm gunning to make that happen in 2024. Fingers crossed.
Nice, making
That's
you
awesome.
an international director in both hemispheres.
Yeah. So those are my big wins.
You'll be able to say you've directed a play where the toilets swirl the other direction. That's huge.
Yes. Yes. In fact, I should incorporate that somehow into the staging, I think.
Right. Yeah. Great. I'll share a couple quick ones here. First of all, for Actors Audition Club, we helped actors shoot over 650 auditions this year. It was just under 600 of those were around 575 were in person in studio, and then we did about another 75 via Zoom virtually, connecting with actors all over the world. So that was huge. We're now up to 162 episodes of this very podcast. So from our humble beginnings, we're well into triple digits. I personally did. I just went through my calendar. I did 58 dinner theater comedy murder mystery shows with Murder Mystery Toronto. And so that was a great busy season. I did over 50 stand-up shows. And what else did I have on here? I booked a lead role in an episode of an upcoming television show, which was a huge win for me and one of my favorite experiences on set. And I also had a feature film where I was the lead debut. It made its international debut at the Toronto Independent Film Festival in September. So I got to see my big giant face on a giant screen. We sold out it was the premiere for the film, but it was also opening night for the festival. It was a sellout screening. Brandon, you were there. So that was a big win for me. I'd never been lead in a feature before and gotten to see a full theater full of people react to that and see that. So that was super cool. Tons more than that, but that's all I'll share for now. So question number 2. So to review question number 1.
Yay, Lars. Yay.
Yeah, yay.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. So that was question number 1. What were your biggest wins this year? Take stock of all your wins. Number 2 is, who did I have to become to get those results? Question 2, who did I have to become to get those wins? All right, Brandon.
You want to start us off, Lars?
Sure. Well, you can dial in on each one of them because you may have to become different things for different wins. But I'll say for the one for booking that lead role in the television show, which will be coming out in June. We've talked about it in a prior episode, but I feel I leveled up in my preparation for the initial audition. I leveled up my preparation between the audition and the callback. My preparation between booking the role and being on set, and just the way I carried myself and the way I operated while I was on set for those 5 days. I really wanted to lean into like the future leading player me and how I will operate as a lead player in whether it's a film or a TV show. And just really wanted to live into that and be that future self. And I feel like I did that. It felt great. And it did feel like I was a new actor and a new person and reaching a different level of commitment and a different level of professionalism to get there. And I think it's no mistake that throughout those processes of preparation, I booked the callback and then booked the role and then felt I did a great job on set. So yeah, it all went well, but it started with connecting with a new identity of who I want to be. Like sometimes we got to ask ourselves, like, if all your dreams did come true, who do you got to be? And one way to reverse engineer that is to become that person first, assume the identity of your future self, and then all of a sudden your future becomes your now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's great.
Well done. Yeah. Great way to connect those dots.
Thank you. Let's go back to Erin.
Oh, okay. Who did I have to be? I jotted down a couple of things. I really had to lean into a lot of beginner's mind and really opening up, not pretending that I know everything just because I've been around the block a time or two. There's always something new to learn, and it only hurts you to think like, oh, I've got this all figured out. Asking for help, reaching out, asking questions, and just staying open to new information and new ways of possibly doing things. And then also another big component for all of my wins is really leaning into trusting my own joy and my own instincts and leaning into that. And when I make myself happy, then great things happen and other people seem to respond positively.
As Tom Todoroff says, you alone are responsible for your artgasm, and make sure they are multiple.
Multiple, yeah.
Brandon, who did you become to get those results this year?
Well, I had to become braver, more confident in my own abilities and what I am able to do. And I also had to be more upfront and asking for what I wanted. Like these are all things that I wanted to do, and like if I needed help with something, I had to ask for it. If I wanted some new position, I was talking to the producer of the theater company before I was AD. I had asked. I wanted to be involved more in the production side of things, and so asking for those things, and if you ask, you shall receive. And
right. Yeah, that's beautiful. Yeah, I think a lot of times we don't do that. Sometimes we keep things to ourselves and we hide it, but and sometimes asking, like, people don't ask for it because they think, oh, who am I? Or that's too bold, or there's the fear of being rejected, I think sometimes holds people back. But yeah, if you don't ask for it, then people don't know. So there's something to say to, like, speak your dreams and speak your goals and share them. And then people will align around you, especially, I mean, if you're a person like you, where you're upbeat and positive and fun, people want to help that. So when people have an opportunity to make someone's dreams come true, then usually they're going to say yes to that. But if they didn't know, then, oh, I didn't know Brandon. I thought Brandon was just an actor. I didn't know he wanted to direct. Like, why did you, and you hear that? Why didn't you say so?
Yeah.
And you're like, I don't know.
Oh, I don't know. Right. And there's been a lot of years where I've wanted to be the pick me, and like you can't do that. Like, people aren't mind readers. They're going about their own business. They're doing their own thing. Yes, Lars?
You got to raise your hand is what I'm saying.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to raise your hand. You have to be the person that advocates for you.
Right. Yeah, and I think especially in Canada, we have a culture of being very apologetic and being humble and not wanting to be boasty, and part of that is the big brother or the big uncle of the United States. I think sometimes we feel like the U.S. and Americans are maybe too much the other way, but you got to ask for what you want and then fight for it. And that's one thing that I love about my experience in knowing other actors and knowing people in the U.S. is a lot of Americans, sometimes to a fault, but not always to a fault, are their own number one fans. And I think you have to be that. Now you can lean into the territory, like, it is a spectrum. You can lean into the territory of being cocky or too confident, or where it can become off-putting. But I think in Canada, we lean way the other way, where people are too quiet and too humble and don't want to raise their hand and don't want to talk about themselves and don't want to become like braggadocious, when really it's just express all of your gifts and ask for what you want and go fight for it. Yeah.
As the sole American on this podcast.
No, you're not the sole American.
As the sole 100% American on this podcast.
Right.
I feel I would like to pick your brain more about your previous statement about Americans.
Right. Sure.
I love it. I love it.
I mean, Americans as a culture are that around the world. You know, it's like if you were to go to most places and be like, "Who's the loudest person in the room?" Oh, they're waving an American flag. But I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. I think if done properly, then that's great. Be proud, be excited, and yeah, be your number one fan.
Well, I will always support being your number one fan. It's something that I struggle with myself for the same reasons that you mentioned in terms of how you self-identify as Canadian culturally being. But like, I find that myself too. Like, I don't want to take up too much space
right
in the room. And so learning to speak up for myself is a lesson I continue to learn.
Yeah. Yeah, and really holding your personal power and believing in your personal power and not giving your personal power away to other voices or society or to social media naysayers or to the comment section on YouTube. Like a lot of people think about that rather than they hold back. They don't want to speak their voice or speak their truth because they're afraid someone's going to make a stink. Oh, what if I say the wrong thing? Or what if they don't like that?
Yeah.
There's a lot of that happening in the world right now, and it shuts people up, and then everyone's keeping everything all pent
close
up
to the
inside.
chest. Yeah. And I think there's a difference between owning your personal power and feeling a need to present yourself as better than someone else.
Right. Yeah. Owning your personal power doesn't presume that other people, like, it's not a zero-sum game.
Right. And I think that might be what you were alluding to in terms of an international version of Americans. Like, we try to force our way of seeing things as better on a, international spectrum. When what we're talking about is own your gifts, sing your praises. Yeah.
Exactly. All right. So that was question number 2. Who did you have to become to get those results last year? The third is, what were your most significant challenges this year? Some things that maybe were a little bumpy, some unexpected obstacles, roadblocks, some personal traits, whatever it might be. Brandon, we'll go back to Brandon.
Yeah, I'll start this off. My first one was finding Harold Pinter plays.
A very specific challenge.
It was a very specific challenge, and one that I did end up fulfilling. I went on a 90-day challenge after I got back from New York, and part of that was to read 2 Harold Pinter plays, and I had a lot of trouble finding just even one play by him, because unfortunately the theater bookstore that we did have in Toronto closed down probably about 10 years ago. And so really you don't get a lot of stores that are dedicated to at least supplying a lot of theater books and theater plays, especially by different artists other than Shakespeare. Shakespeare is plentiful, but other different artists are not as prevalent, especially Canadian artists, unfortunately. And so finding Harold Pinter plays was a bit of a challenge, but I did end up finding it, and I did end up completing my 90-day challenge for myself, which I was very happy with, and it helped me maintain a discipline and be impeccable with my word when setting out to do that challenge for myself. So I was very.
Where'd you find it?
I actually found it in 2 different places. One, I had to buy secondhand off eBay, and it was a collection of his plays, but it was only going to show up a day or 2 before my challenge was supposed to be completed. And so I randomly found it at a bookstore that I didn't think was a bookstore. It was like, it's called Scribe. And it has like different essays and a lot of older books. And I ended up finding one of his shows there. And so I bought it first immediately, read that, and then 2 days before the book arrived from eBay, and I finished the other show.
Nice.
Yeah. It was.
I think I heard there that Brandon turned his challenge into a challenge.
It was a challenge, but it
like
worked
an actual,
out.
like you turned your challenge into a 90-day challenge.
Challenge.
You made it a challenge.
Yeah. And time management was also something I wrote down. I'm not very good at, or I want to be better at making time for my family and like people around me. And just being more efficient with how I'm scheduling my time so that I have more time to do those things and be there for the people that matter most. And also one of my biggest challenges was losing my voice. And losing my voice. I ended up doing during a tech week for a show that was opening. I did, I think it was 5 murder mystery shows on top of doing about 6 productions of that show leading up to opening night. And the day after opening, I lost my voice and still did 2 shows on top of that. And it wasn't good. It wasn't smart. I needed to make sure that I planned ahead and was doing voice and speech exercises. Lars and I just completed a week where we did 7 murder mystery shows in 5 days. I had my voice after those 5 days because I planned for it, made sure that I dedicated time to working and doing warm-ups. And so one of my challenges was losing that voice and making sure that I was making steps to not have that happen again. So I was very happy with the work that I've done since losing my voice.
Yeah, and you do work hard on that. You're always doing voice and speech exercises. You're always doing your humming and your scales and your
straws. You know how many straws I keep at Laughing Vikings now, Erin? So many straws.
Yes, the straws.
That's a great example too of who do you need to become. Like if all your dreams came true and you're in a Broadway show or you're on set, or maybe you're both, you're on set in the day and you're in a show in the evening. Vocally to have that support there, and now you learn that lesson, so hopefully now every other future time where you do get cast and all your dreams come true and you're in this dream role, that you're never having to deal with that as at least as not as severely as you did this time, because it's the worst feeling as an actor or any performer who uses their voice. To not have it is like you feel so vulnerable and almost useless.
Well, because I remember talking last year in our reflective podcast episode, and I was talking about how I wanted to get to the level of doing 8 shows a week.
Right.
And like I did 11 or 12 or something like that in that one week. And I didn't take this proper steps to make sure that I was maintaining and doing those things so that I could keep going.
Right.
And learning that lesson was very, very important and very empowering.
Yeah. And this too. I've noticed, and we've a lot of times we've all done this, but in some shows you were overworking your voice where you're belting something out or maybe screaming, yelling unnecessarily where it wasn't supported. So you were doing damage. So then to recognize that sweet spot of having vocal power, but without having to do damage to your voice. Like, you don't need to be so loud that you're hurting yourself.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Erin.
Well, I gasped when you said time management, because that was a big one for me. Definitely time management, like learning how to protect and prioritize my time and tasks so that I can get not just my obligations done for the other people that I've committed to, but also the commitments I've made to myself and what I want to honor and do, even just as a human, like, let alone my own personal creative goals. But like, just, can a girl read a book at night? Do I have an hour in the evening to like just be a human and relax and step away? So that was a big one for me, as well as like saying no, setting boundaries, setting more boundaries around what I agree to or take on. That's a big one, and that's been a lifelong thing, and this year it really came into play. Like, the universe found so many ways to push me in the right direction of being like, okay, no, I need to say no to this.
Yeah, time management's, that's a challenge for everyone. You've heard that the term, what doesn't get scheduled doesn't get done. And one of my coaches, Brendan Burchard, through Growth Day, he often says, show me your calendar and I'll show you your life. Like, when he starts coaching someone, he's like, give me your phone. And he looks at your calendar and he can tell where your priorities are and how you're spending your life. Or if you don't have any calendar, then he can tell you're kind of just bouncing around randomly to the requests and behest of others, rather than setting your own life up and scheduling things. So yeah, mine were,
sorry, Erin, did you have one more thing you wanted to add?
Oh, I had something that I haven't put into practice yet, but it was a tip from somebody I knew, and I thought maybe I'd start doing it in 2024, was after, like, in your calendar at the end of every week, like, pencil in not just the obligations and things you should do, but also write in the things you actually did, so that at the end you can actually review and see, like, oh, where did I spend my time? Like, if something I wanted to do didn't get done, but I see what I did instead, I can use that information to adjust my priorities.
Right. And the answer for everyone, what they did instead, is they scrolled on Instagram or
on Insta. Yeah.
Every time we don't do what we're supposed to be doing, we're doing this randomly. It's mostly, what did you do? Oh, I did this with my thumb. That's what I needed to do. Mine were similar. I wrote down a challenge, and an ongoing challenge is procrastination, like just the idea of knowing the things that you need to do, but not getting down to business. Often for me, that's getting caught in the trap of having a lot to do. And instead of just starting with something, spending hours being like, oh, I got so much to do, and you don't really do anything, instead of just, okay, let's prioritize them and just start knocking them out. And the flip side to that is, when I'm most productive, it's when I know a bunch of things I need to do, and I just, okay, let's do one, and then do the next one, and do the next one, and do the next one, combined with actually putting it in my schedule too, and taking the time to, like, block time, rather than just have this giant, massive to do, and then you wake up every day thinking and having the overwhelm of, I got so much to do, what am I going to do? Versus, okay, between 9 and 10, I've decided that I'm going to do this one thing. And then between 10 and 11, I'm going to do this second thing. And then just going about it that way. I've put in there a little bit of a lack of discipline too, which is discipline, if you were to define it as doing the things you need to do, whether or not you feel like them, whether or not you feel like doing it. So for me, that can sometimes be fitness things where it's like, I know I should be getting to the gym, but I'm tired. I'll do it tomorrow, kind of thing. And the other one I brought down was dopamine addictions, which is things like scrolling, things like sweets or vices, where it's just like immediate dopamine hits rather than focusing on, I could be doing something, and delaying gratification to achieve a goal that maybe is going to take me a little while, but instead I choose to get a hit of dopamine by scrolling, checking my DMs, checking my emails, grabbing some sugar, grabbing a drink, and some food that's not great but tastes good right now, like a comfort food sort of thing. All right. Question 4. Question the 4th is reflect on a main goal you set last year and think about it. Did you achieve it? And then also think what are there goals that shifted or changed over the year? And the most important part of this step is examine your thoughts or feelings that come up around any missed goals and take inventory of those thoughts and feelings around all the things that didn't happen. So anything you guys want to share from that? So we're looking at things that you didn't get done that you wanted to get done and how you thought and felt about it.
Oh, that's what that question meant. I just thought.
Yeah, it's kind of a hard question.
I can jump in and start. So one of the goals I had set for myself was greater financial abundance, specifically through my artistic and creative endeavors and work. And I can't say it didn't happen. It certainly did. It improved, but not to the level that I was hoping that it would. And instead, I see that I made like progress, stepping stones, and certain avenues, like, for instance, the voiceover stuff. Like, I'm set up and primed, but it's not like actively raking in 5 or 6 digits for me within the year. And that I realize now that I should have set SMARTer goals, acronym SMART, specific, measurable, achievable. Specific, measurable.
I've heard it as action-oriented.
Action, well. Achievable, action-oriented, like realistic and timely.
Right, time-based.
Time-based. I could have, if I had set more specific clarifying goals, maybe I would have been able to say I achieved them. Instead, I'm like, it was kind of in this amorphous thing, and I kind of amorphously improved.
Right. Yeah, it's hard to hit fuzzy goals because what is it? It's like if you're like, I'm going to go on a vacation, I kind of see some trees and some sand and some buildings. Maybe I'll go there on a plane. I think like that. If you were to plan your vacations like that, where are you going to end up?
Yeah, are you in Florida or are you in Bali?
Right.
Like,
yeah. What was I going to say about that? Oh, and the other thing that I'll just comment on I've got a note here that nothing has any inherent meaning except the meaning that we give it, and that often our expectations are the root of a lot of our suffering. The time-based thing is important, but also what about the possibility of like, what if we let go of some of the time-based, since it's kind of arbitrary, we make it up. I want to get this done by this date. The idea of also being okay with, what if we just trusted that it's inevitable that the goal is going to be achieved, but we don't really know the time and when it is going to be achieved, to just allow us to relax and just trust that it's going to happen. Like you talk about making money from voiceover, and you wanted to make X dollars by this year. Maybe it didn't happen, but you set up the systems and the infrastructure. Like you have the sound booth, you have your connections, So maybe all that stuff's going to happen, but it's going to happen a little later than you expected. And we can sometimes really get down on those expectations, and we can remain really attached to them when it's something that we just kind of made up anyways. So we put a lot of pressure on ourselves. It's good on the one hand to set those goals and to set a time so that you see the date and you take the steps to get it done by that date. But the flip side, the danger to it is if you're so attached to it where we get disappointed and we get down on ourselves and we're like, what a fucking loser I am because I didn't do this. Like, it's just a made up target anyways. So finding that fine line. And the other note I've got here is that our feelings about this stuff, our thoughts and feelings about when something didn't go well can show us where our subconscious tension is. So it's like tap into those feelings about, like if it feels heavy and it feels bad, then subconsciously you got to work through some stuff there too. So Brandon, anything you want to share about things not achieved?
I mean, it's kind of similar in the same vein. Like I always felt my goals were it wasn't dollar amounts, but it was I want to book 4 roles this year, or I want to book 5 or whatever. Right. I want to book 2 commercials and 3 TV shows, like whatever. It's
a random number. You call that.
Yeah, and like it's just sort of arbitrary, and I don't control those outcomes. And right. I want to focus on more goals that I can control, doing daily voice and speech workouts, but like not just doing daily voice and speech workouts, having structure to that. And it's very similar to what Erin said, work smarter, not, you don't need to work harder, just work smarter with what you're already doing. And those will, I think will help me in the long run. And so I think my goals for 2024 are more things that I can control and making sure they're more about getting incrementally better and like having more structure to what I'm doing. Yeah.
Love it. For me, what's coming up on that, the majority of things that I didn't accomplish that I wanted to, I feel are because sometimes I take on too much. Like if I were to look at my list, it's like, well, of course you can't, how can you do all of that in that amount of time? So the idea of focus, the idea of prioritizing, like you can have a lot of things in your life that you want to do, but you can't do them all at once just because of the nature of time. Like you can't be doing everything. And James Wedmore, my business coach, talks about the idea of bridge building and the idea of working on completing bridges. And if the bridge takes you from where you are now to your future self, what you want to be, do, and have, you need that bridge to be completed to get you there. And often me, between stand-up and dinner theater and audition club and Comedy Alley, Laughing Vikings, and wanting to host and produce stand-up shows in Toronto and in New York and LA and having those goals, it's like, well, I can build a bridge here. And then often I'll start a bridge and get it like halfway done, but that doesn't get you there. So it's the idea of pick some of these goals. It's great to have all these things to do, but you can't get them all done. There needs to be some kind of sequential order. So do one and complete one, get the fruits of having that complete bridge established, and then work on the next one. Whereas sometimes we try and build them all at once. So we end up with 10 half-built bridges that don't get us anywhere, except falling into the river and getting swept away by the current. So yeah, I think that's it for me is still have all those goals, but have the prioritization and have the prioritization and the discipline to focus on one of them at a time and complete them. And take them further than a little bit here and a little bit there, a little bit there. You hear the term, what's the term? Like a dog who chases multiple rabbits doesn't catch any. You gotta have one goal at a time, and complete it. So that was coming up for me. Did we complete that one? Yeah, we're done, right?
Yep.
Number 5?
Yes.
No, we're moving on to number 5. What was something that you did that you didn't think you'd ever do? What was that result, and who did you become in that process?
I didn't think I'd ever go to Vancouver if it wasn't for work. And I went there with my girlfriend, and we went to see the city. Absolutely gorgeous city, wonderful. We saw some really great theater. We went to a hockey game. We did high tea, which was definitely yeah. I know I've never done high tea, Erin, and I am not built for fancy things.
Did you break a glass?
No, I didn't.
Did you eat tea cakes with your hands?
I did. Well, are you not supposed to eat tea cakes with your hands? What is it? What do you do?
That's what the little forks are for, Brandon. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, I didn't get any little forks.
You didn't get a fork?
I didn't get any forks. I got a little spoon. You can't eat things with spoons. Or some things, whatever. But I did have to plan for that financially, and make sure that I had money set aside, and pay off New York, as well as making sure that I had money for that as well. And that was a really great experience, and something I'll always remember. So that was a big step for me. Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
It's
Erin,
the
you got one?
memories, right? The experiences we make in life.
Mm-hmm.
Something you did that you didn't think you'd ever do. What was the result, and who did you become?
And who did I become? Well, this one is a little bit of a fudge on the question, because I don't know that I didn't think I would never start my own podcast. Sure. But it was something that I dreamed about for years and years, but had never taken action on it. And so it kind of became one of those, I can live without it things. And then it happened, did it, and it's going well, having so much fun. And I'm so proud of myself and Tessie as well for putting it out there. And who did I become in the process? Is that that's the follow-up? Yeah. I have learned how to be much more openly vulnerable when I know something is going to be put out there for the entire globe to potentially consume. I think I'm very open with people close to me, but I'm not used to sharing personal details just to a room, and so knowing that this is going out, being broadcast for anyone to listen to, has been humbling, but I think it's making me a stronger person because of it. So
yeah, I love that.
Yeah. That's fantastic.
What comes up for me when you say that is, I've heard the term, often our messes become our messages, and just the idea of like the stuff, the vulnerabilities that we have, or the situations we go through, often become our strengths for the or the message that really helps the rest of the world. So you dealing with that or sharing vulnerabilities on a podcast, who knows how many people listen to that episode, and then it helps them, and then your thing that was a challenge for you becomes the message that ends up helping the rest of the world.
Right, becomes a point of connection. Yeah.
One of my biggest ones was when I was down in LA for a 3-day business conference. I invested in a coaching program that was a higher ticket, higher price than I've, with the exception of acting Conservatory. This is one of the higher ticket investments I've ever made. In a team of coaches and a year-long 12-month coaching program. And so who did I have to become in that process? Part of it was I had to become a person that would trust in myself, that when I invest in something, I'm going to make good on it. I'm going to work hard and do the work and show up and get that return on the investment. I think a lot of the times, whether it's taking a course or a program or a workshop or acting classes, sometimes our internal voice can doubt, like, is this going to work for me? Or I've done other things before that didn't work out. So why is this one going to be different? There's often those hesitations and those fears. So it had to be, and I think I had to live into my future self, and even to make that decision the night when I was offered the opportunity and given the details of the program, I really had to sit and meditate and think of, okay, if I become everything who I want to be in the future, what would that guy say to this opportunity? And then when I thought from that standpoint, it was like, this is a no-brainer. The money, the dollar amount was a little scary and a little uncomfortable. But then when I really thought about, like, okay, when all of my dreams are coming true and when I'm doing all the things I want to do, this amount of money isn't going to be an issue for me. So I was sort of having to act from my future self rather than act from my current circumstances of what's the exact dollar amount in my bank account now, or how much room do I have on a credit card right now? Those things can sometimes be limiters. Whereas if I flash forward to be like, okay, who am I a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now? Am I sweating this, or am I looking back on this as being like, oh, this was a great fucking decision. What a huge return on investment I got. So, and one of the things I did is I went to dinner with myself that night, just to review the materials and to look at the program. But they had like what they call a commitment card, which is basically like your registration card. And I was like, you know what I'll do? I'm just going to fill it out and see how that feels. And I started filling it out and I completed it. Like, you have to complete your credit card information and all your email and all your stuff and check some boxes. And I did that and sat in that. And I was like, oh, this feels fucking great. Like, this feels awesome. This is a no-brainer, rather than if I had done it and had like, oh, the vibration of this doesn't feel good, and I would want to tear it up. And then I slept on it that night. And when I woke up, there's a little bit of trepidation, but it was still like, no, I think the person who I want to be and need to become is a person who says yes to this kind of opportunity, even if it did scare me a little bit. And there's the doubt of, is it going to pay off? And am I going to get the return on the investment? Could I use the money for something else? But yeah, that was huge. So shout out to Wedmore and Next Level, a Business by Design Next Level. It's been already great. So I'm looking forward to it. Yeah.
Sweet.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Number six, Marco. Actually, let's go to the comments here. We've got Marco. He says, goals are different from expectations. That's why I use the phrase above. He says, I always say expectations lead to failure. If you don't expect anything, never fail. True. There's a slippery slope there. I think it's also like, it's kind of human nature to have some expectations, but detaching from those, I think, is part of it. Detaching from them. So it's not like, oh my God, I wanted something. Like, we all want something to happen. And part of the nature of goals is having some expectations, but then detaching from some of those. So it's not like it didn't go exactly as planned, so now you're ruined and you're a big wreck.
Yeah. Also, I don't think it's bad to fail. Gosh, I learned so much from my failures.
Right. That's the other thing is, you either get the results you wanted or the lessons you needed.
Yeah.
And most people, and many, like some of the most successful people, the reason they're the most successful is because they've failed the most, and failure in quotation marks. They've learned how not to do it, or they've steered themselves in the right direction and constantly course corrected based on, okay, that didn't go the way I wanted to. What do I got to do next time? Or the famous example is Thomas Edison. Took him 10,000 iterations of the light bulb, and people asked him, "What does it feel to to fail 9,999 times. And he's like, I didn't fail. I learned how not to do it. That led me how to do it. Yeah. It's great. We pop that. There you go. Number 6 is looking back on last year. What or who did I let go of? What was that result? And who did you become? So this is the idea of in order to be someone new and to have a different life and to bring different things into your life, often it requires making space for that, whether it's relationship, friends, family, close relationships. Sometimes it's bad habits. Sometimes it's just as practical of time. If there's new things that you want to be doing, you got to clear time in your schedule to allow that. So what comes up for you guys? Things that you let go, could be habits, could be people, could be vices.
I started letting go of the idea that I need to continuously prove myself and my craft. I think the more I work in this business, the more I do more things that challenge me and scare me. My work and dedication speaks for itself, right. and that's something I'm working on continuously, and it's not it doesn't happen overnight. But like the more I do my work, the more I go to classes, the more I do things on my own and hold myself accountable. What is it? Tom likes to say, craft plus commitment equals longevity in career. And that's what I'm working towards. Is I'm not just trying to find or not just trying to gain a job. I'm working on building my career.
Often as actors, there's the sense and the idea of like having to prove to others that we're worthy, or that we're deserving, or that we're good enough, or that we're in the club, rather than like what does Tom say? Act to seek your own approval.
Yes. Yeah.
It's like
seek your own good opinion.
Seek your own good opinion. Yeah. Act to seek your own good opinion and let the world be your witness, rather than needing their permission or their acceptance.
Yes.
There is no president of Hollywood or some organization that is like, yeah, you're in, we're going to let you in. It's just, we're all on our own separate journeys, and it's just up to us to believe in ourselves. And that's more important than the belief of someone. And sometimes it's not even a real person. It's just like a mystery they that's like, oh, I hope they like me. And it's like, who is they? Or it's a voice from your childhood that was someone at school that shot down something you said, or a teacher that said something to you, or a parent, or an ex in a relationship. And that little voice still resonates in your head and holds you back, rather than just trusting yourself and deciding, okay, this is who I want to be.
Yes.
Erin, you got something?
I'm struggling a little bit about what to share.
I'll jump in the meantime. I think this is not something that I have let go of, but I'm still working on it, is asking for help, seeking coaches, seeking collaborators. I don't think I'm there yet. I think my tendency, I don't know if it's the Capricorn in me or the Irish in me, is wanting to do things myself and wanting to do things my own way, and coming as an actor and also as a stand-up comic, it can be very lone wolfy. And there's a certain level of pride in that, but I think it hurts us, rather than just be like, oh, okay, I need help. It's a shorter route to just, if you need to get somewhere, ask people who have already done it and get their roadmaps, rather than have to blindly flail away through the bushes. It's just like, ask for the map, ask for help, ask for someone to travel with you, build a team of people. Yep. And there's that saying of, you want to go fast, go alone. You want to go far, go together. You're not going to do nobody climbs Mount Everest alone. And if you do, you probably die somewhere on a mountain, either on the way up or on the way down. You need a whole team of people. You need your Sherpas. You need people who can help you across those deathly chasms of ice.
That's good.
You got something, Erin?
Yeah, I let go of thinking that something that I want to call into my life has to look a certain way.
Right.
And the more I let go of that this year and started really opening not just my eyes, but my whole senses, including the sixth, to what was available to me in my environment, I started receiving like such creative solutions to goals and dreams that are like been quietly purring in the background for years. And it was like, oh, here. And it's like finding the missing puzzle piece, and you didn't think it was going to look, it wasn't going to be that shape, but lo and behold, it perfectly fits. In fact, it fits not just the one thing you thought, it fits three of the things you thought.
Right.
And it's just been so eye-opening, mind-expanding, and fulfilling to be like, okay, universe, what else do you have in store? You know, I don't have to control the exact shape, size, color, weight of the thing.
Yeah, that's a huge realization. I'm going to share in the exercise that we do at the very end. I'm going to share a lot based on that, but that's a great realization. It's just, we don't know how it's going to be delivered to us. That reminds me of the story too. It's like the guy in a flood who's like, oh, God's going to save me. The universe is going to save me. And he's on the top of his roof, and a canoe goes by and is like, hey, you want some help? And he's like, no, I'm waiting for God, the universe. I'm taken care of. I trust, I have faith that I'll be taken care of. And then a bigger motorboat goes by and is like, hey, you sure you don't want to? No, I have faith. It's going to happen for me. And then a helicopter comes by and it's like, here, we're going to throw the rope down. And then the guy drowns and then meets God, his creator, the universe. And he's like, what the fuck? I trusted and had faith. And it's like, no, I sent you. Like, what are you talking about? I sent you a canoe. I sent you a rowboat. I sent you a helicopter. And you rejected all those things because you had blinders on, and we're like, oh, it needs to be this way, instead of being just something to say about being open to receive and being open to possibilities and being open to not knowing every little detail. Like, we like to know, our safety brain, our lizard brain likes, like, oh, I need all the stoplights to be green to get all the way there before I even start, when we don't really know how. It's just like, take a step, see what you can see, take another step, see what you can see, and then trust that new things are going to come into you. And by the end of your journey, it might not look at all the same. I mean, it'd be somewhat the same, but not exactly the same as you expected at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's great. Number 7 is, what did you no longer tolerate? Anything come up? And again, we don't have to share all these if you don't quite have one right now, but we're sharing ours, but also sharing for our listeners and viewers. What were the things that you no longer tolerated in yourself, from family members, from friends, from colleagues? Where maybe this might be a boundary question. This again could be a habit question. This could be a discipline question.
Steve Hobbs says flood metaphors, which I thought was very funny.
That's what Steve no longer tolerates.
Yeah,
it's good. You got to draw the line somewhere, Steve. Yeah. Happy birthday. Belated birthday, Steve Hobbs. As well.
Happy belated birthday.
Maybe he's a Christmas baby.
Oh yeah. And so the thing that I'm no longer tolerating is excuses and complainers.
Yes.
I don't have time for it anymore. If you have excuses for things of why they weren't getting done, I don't really care. Do the work. It's important that you do it for yourself, most importantly, because then you can you tell yourself that you are worth it and you are capable of doing anything that you set your mind to. And complainers, misery loves company. And that's how we connect with a lot of people, is through complaining. But do your best to connect with people through goals, aspirations. Find those people. I've met with a friend, Chanakya Mukherjee, and he just finished the Stratford, Birmingham Conservatory, and we spent like 2 to 3 hours just talking about plays and ideas and how things can be done, and how I felt about Three Sisters and how he felt about it, and just exchanging ideas and things that we wanted to see happen. And he was talking about his upcoming wedding in India that he's going to, and just having those exchanges and talking about things that matter to you, and just having idea conversations and open-ended idea conversations, because something that means something for me may not mean the same thing for the other person, but that doesn't mean that it's not valid. And so that's what I'm setting out to do more of this year, is having those positive conversations and having those idea conversations, because they're great. They're a lot of fun.
Right. And more importantly, they're useful.
Yes.
As well. Like, they actually help you. Whereas the other ones just don't. They drag you down. That really resonates with me, Brandon. And I know that I think you and I both really resonate when, like, if someone, or whatever the opposite of like anti-resonate, if someone is in the studio in person and is complaining about something, whether it's the writing or my agent, or I didn't have enough time, or this is why I didn't get this. It's like, I hear that and I'm like, I have empathy, but it's kind of like, I can see where you're still kind of stuck in this. And we do a good job of shifting people, be like, okay, well, yeah, no problem. Let's go get it. Like, okay, that's all. Nice that you got your stories, but what are we gonna do about it? Let's go to work and make it happen. Like, we're pretty good at, I think, at shutting that down. And we built a culture at Actors Audition Club of, I think people are used to us being so positive and upbeat and forward thinking, and we're not really complainers. That not a lot of people, we don't attract many people that are the negative, naysayer, gossipy types. But when we do, we don't suffer that for very long. I think we do a really good job at shifting it. It's like, do you get sucked into that energy, or are you the type of person that shifts it and then are like, okay, well, think it might, like, you can either be affected by a negative person. If you're a positive person, you can be affected by someone being negative. You can go down that negative path, or you can hold steadfast as the positive person, and maybe they start seeing it your way, or maybe they don't, but you're at least not dragged down by that and sucked into their misery fest.
Yeah.
Yeah. I really noticed that when people are complaining or blaming or telling their stories, like, it tweaks me right away, where I'm like, oh, they got some work to do. I want to be empathetic to that. Like, you don't want to be like,
you still have to be encouraging,
because I'm above that by now. It's like we all fall into that sometimes, but you want to remain there.
Right. Yeah, we all have bad days, but like,
yeah,
what can you control?
yeah.
Your attitude and moving forward. Yeah.
Anything you no longer tolerate? Gluten, lactose, any of those?
Yes, I'm
a very intolerant person.
I'm lactose intolerant. My diet has shifted. Let's see. I don't tolerate anymore taking on unnecessary personal pain or discomfort in order to make somebody else's life easier. Like, it's your problem. You're going to come to me for help. I will give you what I can, but not to a degree where I like try and solve and fix everything for you.
Right.
You know, and that's a personal thing for me that I used to think that goes back to some childhood rearing problems. Where
I gotta fix this.
like it was my responsibility to fix everything.
Right.
And this year I've really stepped into being like, I will serve to this limit. This is the limit of what I can do to help you. And beyond that, it's like, it's your problem. Like your urgency, your crisis is not my crisis.
Right.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, people can get dragged down by that, especially like sometimes people have it with family members or parents or people, friends, longtime friends, and then they blame them and they blame that for their own lack of success. Well, I couldn't do that because I was dealing with this person and they have all this. It's like, well, no, you just got sucked into it then. It's like you got to know where to draw the boundary. And maybe that's the idea of being like a lighthouse or a beacon of light for them. You don't need to be dragged into that. You just keep your light and keep your spirit and keep your energy so that they can see that and maybe be guided by that without them snuffing out your light.
Yeah.
There's a light metaphor for.
There's a light. Yeah. No more floods. Oh.
Well, the waves are right there. If there's
the waves,
lighthouse, there.
Don't let them erode your lighthouse foundation.
Right, there you go. Number 8 is, what did you stop doing? Is there anything that you've eliminated, made room for?
I had trouble with this one. I wasn't sure, and I'm still not sure if I did stop anything. I started doing a lot more, but stopped doing that I'm not sure of.
Interesting.
What do you have for this, Lars?
Yeah.
This one is a little bit of a challenge too. I think one thing, and this wasn't just this last year, but one thing that I've gradually, I think I've grown out of / consciously made decision of is drinking. Like I don't waste time and money boozing. I don't rarely hungover anymore. Whereas in my 20s and 30s, I wasted a lot of money. I wasted a lot of time and a lot of brain cells and wasted days where if I was going hard on a Saturday, which was always fun, like it was always fun and exciting, and I'm with friends and we're partying and we're celebrating and doing all this stuff. But the toll was feeling shitty on a Sunday, feeling shitty on a Monday, and not really feeling fully energized and back on track till like a Tuesday. Like I noticed and this was probably more mid 30s when I started to realize this, but especially over the last like couple years, I can count on one hand like the amount of times I've been like drunk, like, and that's barely like now Brandon, when we have some drinks, it's like, whoa, I had 3 beers in a night. Really went hard last night. I had 3 beers over 6 hours. Even that holiday party that we had recently we had a couple beers and that even feels like something to me where it was like, yeah, I remember why I don't like drinking, like it just doesn't the toll, the cost of it isn't worth it to me anymore. So I think that's something that I continue to say no to. And it's not hard for me at all. Like there was a time where I would look at my calendar and be like, great, I don't really want to drink this week, but I got this party and we got this rap party and it's so-and-so's birthday. And start to look at your calendar and be like, I can't avoid this. It's just socially, this is how society operates. But now I have no problem going to a party and drinking water and just not going down that road. Yeah, bother me.
Yeah. Something I did stop for a little while, and I did pick it up back again throughout the year. But I stopped drinking coffee for 4 or 5 months.
Yeah, you're a tea man.
I've grown to appreciate teas. Now I have started drinking coffee again, but I now limit it to maybe 1 a day, and I won't drink it past 2 p.m. something like that. That way, and I will switch to tea. And so tea is very nice. It's very nice. And I enjoy it. I enjoy it. Always keep that pinky out. I may not be used to high tea yet, but I am enjoying more teas, especially late at night. A nice hot tea to finish off the day is very relaxing.
Erin, anything coming up for you?
Yeah, I also limited my coffee intake in favor of tea. Sunday now is my coffee splurge day, but I'm enjoying some nice chai most mornings. What else have I stopped? I have stopped letting my phone notifications pull me away from my work.
Ooh, that's a good one.
I pretty much live on D&D anymore, and allow myself specific time periods to check my messages or emails. Unless I know that I've got like something coming up, I might just rush over and look if I've got text notifications, if I'm expecting something specific coming in. But otherwise, it's helped me focus and get so much more done.
Big time.
So much more accomplished in shorter amount of times. And I'm like, it's just a simple toggle on my phone, and it's worked wonders.
Yeah, that's a huge life hack, man. All of those apps, like if I did this I still get notifications for texts, but not a ton of people text me. But I removed all notifications. Like I don't get any like nothing pops up from Facebook, from Insta, and like no social media notifications, because you just get pulled into it constantly. Yeah. Now I still go into those apps way too often, but it's my decision to go into them rather than something constantly. Because I mean, if you have all your notifications on, you'd just be getting beeps and dings all day long, and there's no time to do anything, which means you basically can't have your phone around to get anything done.
Have you heard of that app? Gosh, now I'm not going to be able to find it. Where it actually blocks your social media apps.
Nice.
And so so you hook it up to your social accounts and tell it how much time you're allowing yourself to spend on them that day. And when you pull up, your Insta, it'll actually block it for a second and be like, "Are you sure?"
Right.
And you have to click, and it'll say, "Okay."
Give it to me.
And then it still makes you wait like 3 seconds or something.
Right. There's another option too, something called gray mode. Apparently, like our brains, all the colors, like the bright blues and the bright reds in the apps, like our phone looks really attractive with all those, and it draws us to it. But gray mode just makes it all gray. And if you do that, it actually looks really ugly. And you look at it, you're like, "Oh, this looks gross." And you just they've scientifically proven that you'll go into those apps, and they're just not as alluring. It's like a bird. Like a colorful bird is attractive. But
well, food is what I'm thinking about.
Yeah, same thing. Yeah. So you just want plain old gray oatmeal.
Delicious. Eat my girl.
All right. Final question is, what would present day me say to myself 1 year ago? So knowing everything you know about this past year, what would you say to yourself if you could travel back in time and be like, "Listen, you know what? I'm going to save you some time, some strife. I'm going to help you out, give you some life hacks, some tips." What would you say to yourself 1 year ago? Brandon?
It's so much easier when you just detach from unnecessary stress. Like I think most of my stress is self-put.
Right.
Fear, anxiety.
By far.
Importance.
Yeah.
And just realizing that that's something you can let go of, and it's so much smoother. You'll get there.
By far the biggest thing holding most of us back is ourself. It's like our own thoughts, our own limiting beliefs, our own fears, our own insecurities. Yeah, mine was play from my highest self-identity. No more small ball. Make big moves fast. Act from my highest self with my highest vision in mind. Stay in a beautiful state. So staying in a high vibe, high energy state. And then the other one was focus on team and leading as a role model. That's what I said.
Wow. Full on speech.
Yeah. Brandon?
Thank you.
Aww.
Nice. Yeah, that's a good one. It's a good one.
Simple.
So that was 9 questions that you can take stock of and take review of your life. Again, quick review. What were your biggest wins this year? Number 2, who did you have to become to get those results? Number 3, what were your most significant challenges this year? Number 4, reflect on one of your main goals. Did you achieve it? Did you not? What goals changed over the years? And examine the thoughts and feelings that specifically come up with your missed goals. Number 5, what was something that you did that you didn't think you'd ever do? And who did you have to become in that process? Number 6, looking back on last year, what or who did you let go of? What was that result? Who did you become in that process? 7, what did you no longer tolerate? 8, what did you stop doing? And 9, what would today you say to yourself now 1 year ago after this year? Great. So final thing to close out this episode and to close out 2023, I'm going to take you guys through, you and Brandon, and also all of the listeners and viewers, just through a little grounding / visualization exercise. We're going to do a little time travel here. So Brandon, you can click us out of that mode. There you go. That's great. So I would invite everyone, if you've got tabs open or if you've got music on, set that notepad aside and just actually 1 second. I'll be right back. Luna is crying that she needs to get out of here. So.
Oh, okay. Poor baby.
Oh, Luna. All right. Still our boss.
Yes.
Always our boss, no matter what.
All right. So I'll take you guys through this little exercise, but also something that can be very powerful. This is something you can do on a regular basis. So first thing is just breathe. I would invite you to take a deep breath in through your nose, filling your belly, nice big belly breath. And then release through your mouth. And as you breathe, really breathe and focus on just being here now. This is something that I have thought about a lot recently. I feel like that in my life, there's a lot of times where I'm everywhere but now. I'm in my head about past stuff. I'm thinking about future stuff. Sometimes that's even on stage. Sometimes while I'm on camera, where I'm showing up for today's show, but I'm already thinking about the next show, or I'm shooting something on set and I'm already thinking about how this is going to look in my demo reel and the next stepping stone. Like, what is this? Once this comes out, what's going to happen from this? Versus focusing on just being here now. So another deep breath. Just be in your space, notice your space. And then I would invite you to close your eyes. And what I would invite you to do is tap into the feeling of 1 year from now. So let's say December 31st, 2024. And do a little time travel, some quantum physics, some quantum leaps. And I want you to tap into the feeling of 1 year from now. And while your eyes are closed, use your imagination, but make it real for all of your senses. So where are you? It's December 31st, a year from now. Where are you? What's around you? What do you hear? Maybe there's a taste. Maybe there's smells. What do you see around you? What can you touch around you? Who is with you? Who is around you? And specifically start tapping into the feeling and the senses of this was your most successful year ever. Whatever that means to you as an actor, as a human being, as a brother, sister, friend, family member, partner. This was your most successful year ever. And tap into that feeling and to those senses, specifically the gratitude feeling of, I did it. I did it. This was my biggest year yet. I set all these incredible goals, had all these incredible plans, and I became the person who I needed to become. And now that it's the end of the year and you did it all. No limits, no throttling back, just your biggest goals, your most successful year ever. You did extraordinary things and really feel the gratitude of, I did it. I fucking did it. And the excitement of how that feels, and the pride and the feeling of accomplishment. And really take note of that in your body. Make sure you're still breathing. Take a deep breath in and a deep breath out. And again, feel that this was your most successful year ever. What does that look like? What does that feel like? What does it sound like? What does it taste like? What does it smell like? Who's around you? Where are you? Excitement, pride, accomplishment. And now something that I want you to add in there is, were there any surprises? Did things come into your life that you didn't expect at all? Often, again, we like to map it all out, but it never happens the way we want. New opportunities. What new opportunities came in your life? What new people came into your life? It could be new auditions. What collaborations did you have that you didn't expect? Maybe you started the year one way, but by the end of the year, you're working with other actors you never expected to work with, other directors, other creatives. So what collaborations, who came into your life that you made significant collaborations with? What quantum leaps did you experience? Often we get stuck thinking that things need to happen incrementally, and there's something to say about slow and steady wins the race. But also we live in a world where your life could change any given day. We can make quantum leaps, and especially over the time of a year, maybe not in a day. But over the course of a year, your life can change drastically. So again, the gratitude of I did it, the excitement of I did it, the pride and accomplishment, but also what surprises came into your life? Who did you collaborate with? What quantum leaps happened that you didn't expect? What magic? And really allowing that space for that magic. And now I want you to tap into the feeling of, what does your future 2024 vision say to present me? So you're in that space of, this is December 31st, December 31st, 2024. What does that vision and that person say to you right now? If you really listen and you're really still, what does that future person say to you? What does that future vision say to you? And take note of that mentally right now. And a few final thoughts. Allow the idea of every timeline can exist at the same time. It's like, yeah, we're here now, but there's past timelines and future timelines, that multiverse idea. And how do you embody the future version energy every day? Can you embody this future version energy every single day? And can you tap into your future authentic self every single day? This is something that we all have access to. at any given moment. We got to take some time. We got to breathe. We got to be quiet, sit in the silence, connect to the universe, but tap into that future authentic self and surrender the how. Again, allow for surprises, allow for unknown collaborations, allow for quantum leaps, allow for magic to happen, and surrender the idea that you need to know everything right now. You don't need to know exactly how everything will happen, and we really never do. We like to know how, but we don't need to know how. A couple more thoughts. Keep breathing. Deep breath in, deep breath out. Think of past last year, one that's past 2023. Could you have predicted everything that came to you? Probably not. So again, release the need to know everything in advance and be okay with the thought of, I am not meant to know everything now. It's not for you to know everything right now. And trust in the past evidence that you have in your life that things, for the most part, have worked out, and that they always do work out, and that even in times of challenges and obstacles and struggles, that you do always figure it out, and you will always figure it out. You're either getting the result you want or the lesson you need. And tap into the idea right now of creating a mind movie. So you're literally time traveling right now. You're December 31st, 2024. Create that mind movie. And what you're doing is you're turning your future into a lived memory. That's what a visualization is. Athletes do this all the time. Actors do it before shows. Athletes do it before their big routines. Their skiers do it. They can, race car drivers do it. Skaters, ballerinas, gymnasts. They see it all so that it feels so real that you're creating a memory of your future. And the reason that's important is our brains love familiar things, and our brains hate new experiences. Our brains are afraid of new experiences because if this is something new, it means change, and change can be uncomfortable. Change can be a threat. New things are a threat to our lizard brains, which is a challenge when you want new things and new experiences to come in your life. Your subconscious brain is scared of that because it can become a threat to things you have now. So the way to get over that is to visualize these things and to feel these things with all your senses, so that these new experiences that you're calling into your life, they're not new, they're already vivid, lived memories, and you can feel it and touch it and taste it and experience it so vividly in your imagination that you're turning your future into a memory now, so that when these things do start coming into your life, they're not new threats, they're familiar memories that you knew were going to come true, and not even come true, you just knew they were true now, but in a different timeline. And the final thoughts, again, releasing those expectations that everything has to go exactly the way you expect. Realizing expectations are often the root of your suffering, and being okay with the idea of shifting expectations to appreciation. So rather than getting upset that your expectations weren't met, just the idea of appreciating what did happen and having that sense of curiosity or awe or, isn't that interesting? Rather than, oh no, things didn't go exactly as I expected. Take a deep breath. Deep breath out. And on your own time, open up your eyes. Notice the space around you. And come on back from the future. Welcome. How was that? You want to share any shares?
It was very visceral and warm. It felt very comforting and exciting and safe, as well as really curious, like to know that from here to here there's a gap in between, and it's kind of it's like a present waiting to be unwrapped.
I like that.
Yeah. It was full of lots of laughter and warm feelings, and it was just very nice. It was very fun. It was a very fun atmosphere.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah, it feels good. I love that idea of something new. Our brains see something new as a threat. So even if it's something positive that we want, some goal, more money, more roles, more love, more whatever, if it's something new to us, we'll resist it because new means change, means threat to our caveman lizard brains. Our brains like to know, like, ooh, this is something familiar, this is comfortable, I know the outcome, which is why we sometimes get stuck in the past and don't make those big, bold leaps. But the idea of turning that new thing into a memory through these visualizations so that it just becomes so real that your subconscious is not afraid of it, because your subconscious just sees it as something real that has already happened, rather than something new and scary that could potentially be a threat. Yeah. Oh, nice. I want to give a shout out here. Elia Gazal, I do remember you, of course. Yes. Elia from Lebanon. He once won an acting contest. You won you at our Audition Hero workshop was it January last year? Or maybe that was 2 years ago. We miss you too, Elia. Good to hear from you. Everything is amazing. Happy New Year. Happy holidays. Hope everything's good for you in Lebanon. And Steve Hobbs also said, thanks, Lars. Happy holidays. Laughing Vikings team. Cool. All right. Any final thoughts, final shares? Oh, one question specifically from that experience that I'm interested in is what did your future visions say to present you?
Have fun and keep moving forward.
Nice. Love it.
You deserve it all and more.
Love it. Yes, you do. All right. And with that, 2023 comes to a close. Thank you for listening, for watching. This is episode 162. We're wishing you happy holidays and all the best in 2024. We've been throwing around the idea of, we like catchphrases, so we like the idea of more in 24, mainly because it rhymes. But I think we can all get more, we can be more, we can do more, we can have more. Within reason, without getting greedy. But it's not greedy to be everything that you can be, or do everything you can do, or have everything you can have. Yeah, you deserve it. We deserve it. Yeah. So go get it. So hopefully that was helpful to everyone listening, watching. Those questions are things that you can return to. That visualization is something that you can do on a regular basis to time travel and to make your future a memory. I love that idea of time traveling to the future and making all the future things that you want to be, do, and have a memory, so that it's like that phrase of, and so it is.
And so it is.
Yeah, and remember that you wouldn't be able to visualize that future if it wasn't something within your within your reach. If it wasn't possible, the seed of the idea wouldn't exist. And everything does begin, everything you've ever done in the past first started as a thought, as a seed of an idea, something, a whisper in your ears, and then became a reality.
Mm-hmm.
Love it. All right.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Now that we're all zenned out here,
Yeah, right.
we're all gonna have a nap. Yeah. Go have some coffee. Yeah.
No, it's tea
All
time.
right.
Tea.
That was great. We went a little long today, but I think it was worth it to finish the year strong. Thanks, Brandon. Thanks, Erin. Check us out on your favorite podcast platform. Hit us up at Actors Audition Club on Instagram. Shoot us a DM, and you can still join Actors Audition Club. And what a great time to join Actors Audition Club. We've got some big things coming in the year that we'll tease out in the new year. So stay tuned for those.
Bye.
Bye. Happy 2024, everybody.